My brother's wife turned him against me, but a year later, she came to me for help. My brother Alex and I used to be inseparable growing up. We had each other's backs through thick and thin. When he introduced me to his future wife, Julia, I was genuinely happy for him. She seemed kind, intelligent, and someone who truly loved him. But as time passed, things took a darker turn. After they got married, Julia began subtly distancing Alex from me. She would make little comments about how I was too involved in his life, or how I was overly critical of her decisions. At first, I brushed it off. But then, Alex stopped calling as much. Family dinners became rare, and when they did happen, there was always an air of tension. One day, Alex confronted me. "Julia feels like you don't respect her," he said, his tone distant. "And honestly, I think she's right." I was stunned. All I had ever done was try to welcome her into our family. Things escalated quickly after that. Julia told Alex that I was trying to undermine their marriage. She twisted my words and actions to make it seem like I was the villain. Eventually, Alex cut me off entirely. It broke my heart. The person who had been my best friend for my entire life now saw me as an enemy. I spent the next year trying to move on, focusing on my own life and career. I stopped reaching out to Alex. It was clear that he wanted nothing to do with me. But then, out of nowhere, Julia showed up at my doorstep. Her face was pale, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. "I need your help," she said, her voice trembling. I was taken aback. After everything she had done, the nerve of her showing up at my door was almost laughable. But as I listened to her story, I realized the situation was serious. Julia admitted that she had made mistakes, big ones. She confessed that she had been controlling and manipulative, not just with Alex, but with other people in her life as well. "I thought pushing you away would make him depend on me more," she said, tears streaming down her face. "But now he's distant even from me. I don't know what to do." Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face. After all, she was the reason my relationship with my brother was in shambles. But another part of me saw how desperate and broken she was. "Why should I help you?" I asked, my voice cold. "Because I know I was wrong," she said, "and because Alex needs you more than he realizes. I was too blind to see it before, but you're the only person who can reach him." I didn't forgive her right away, but I agreed to talk to Alex. It wasn't an easy conversation. He was still hurt, still defensive. But slowly, we started to untangle the web of lies and misunderstandings. It took time, but eventually, Alex and I rebuilt our relationship. Julia apologized sincerely, and while our relationship was never the same, I respected her for owning up to her mistakes. In the end, the experience taught me the power of forgiveness, but also the importance of setting boundaries and standing up for yourself, even when it's someone you love. Over time, things began to stabilize, though not without effort. My conversations with Alex were cautious at first, filled with pauses and lingering tension. He admitted that he had felt torn for a long time, but hadn't known how to bridge the gap between Julia and me. "She convinced me that you didn't like her," Alex explained one day over coffee. "And I didn't want to lose her, so I chose to believe her. But deep down, I missed you." Okay. His words were bittersweet. I was glad he was finally opening up, but I couldn't ignore the pain his distance had caused. Still, I knew that holding on to resentment wouldn't help either of us. Julia, to her credit, made an effort to mend things. She wrote me a long letter, explaining her insecurities and apologizing for the way she had handled them. "I was afraid of losing Alex," she wrote, "but instead of trying to build a relationship with you, I pushed you away." I see now how much that hurt everyone, including myself. Though I wasn't ready to trust her completely, I appreciated the gesture. She began attending family gatherings again, making an effort to be kind and respectful, and, over time, it felt less forced. The biggest breakthrough came a few months later when Alex invited me on a camping trip, just the two of us, like old times. We spent hours talking by the fire, reminiscing about our childhood and catching up on everything we'd missed in the past year. For the first time in a long time, it felt like I had my brother back. As for Julia, she and I found a way to coexist peacefully. While we were never as close as Alex and I, we reached an understanding. I could see that she was genuinely trying to change, and I respected her for that. The whole experience taught me that relationships, whether with family or anyone else, are messy and complicated. People make mistakes, sometimes big ones. But when there's genuine remorse and effort to repair the damage, healing is possible. Now, when I look back at that year of estrangement, I feel a mix of emotions. Sadness for the time lost, gratitude for the lessons learned, and hope for the future. If nothing else, it reminded me of the resilience of family bonds and the importance of forgiveness. Not for others, but for yourself. As the months passed, our family dynamics continued to evolve. While things were far from perfect, they were better, stronger, even. Alex made it clear that he valued our relationship and didn't want to take it for granted again. We started spending more time together, not just as brothers, but as a family, with Julia included. Julia surprised me one day by inviting me to lunch. I hesitated at first, unsure of what to expect, but curiosity got the better of me. Over salads and coffee, she opened up in a way I hadn't anticipated. "I've been seeing a therapist," she admitted, her tone humble. "It's helped me realize how much my past fears and insecurities affected my relationship with you and Alex. I know it'll take time, but I want to earn back your trust." Her honesty caught me off guard, but it also softened the walls I'd built up. It was clear she was making a genuine effort to grow, not just for Alex, but for herself. That lunch marked a turning point. While I still maintained boundaries, I found myself appreciating Julia's effort to repair what she had broken. She started including me in conversations about family plans and even sought my advice on matters involving Alex. It wasn't easy to forget the past, but seeing her growth made it easier to move forward. As for Alex and me, we reclaimed the bond that had been strained for so long. The camping trips became a regular tradition, and we found ourselves laughing over old jokes and memories as if no time had passed. One evening, during one of these trips, Alex said something that stayed with me. "You're my brother, and nothing will ever change that. I'm sorry for how I handled everything, but I'm glad we found our way back." His words were simple, but powerful. They reminded me of the resilience of family and the importance of second chances. Looking back now, I can see how the entire situation was a test of our relationships, not just between Alex and me, but for all of us. It showed me that people are capable of change, and that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to move forward despite the pain. Today, our family is closer than ever. It's not perfect and it never will be, but it's real, and for that, I'm grateful. Years later, as I reflect on everything that happened, I realize how much I've grown from the experience. Life has a way of throwing challenges at you, not to break you, but to reshape you into someone stronger, someone wiser. Julia and I never became best friends, but we reached a point of mutual respect and understanding. She became a better partner to Alex and, surprisingly, a better sister-in-law than I ever expected. She still occasionally apologized for the way she handled things in the past, but over time, those apologies turned into actions, consistent efforts to show that she valued our family. One Christmas, Julia handed me a small wrapped gift. I opened it to find a framed photo of Alex and me from our childhood, one I hadn't seen in years. Attached was a note for reminding me of the importance of family, even when I forgot it myself. Thank you for forgiving me. It was such a simple gesture, but it brought tears to my eyes. That moment symbolized how far we had all come. As for Alex, our bond only grew stronger. We learnt to communicate better, to be honest about our feelings instead of letting misunderstandings fester. He often joked that Julia's temporary war against me had ultimately brought us closer. Maybe we should thank her, I teased once, laughing over dinner. You're welcome, Julia called from the kitchen, her tone playful but warm. Now, family gatherings feel whole again. There's laughter, storytelling, and a sense of togetherness that I feared we'd lost forever. The experience taught me that forgiveness is a gift, not just for the person you forgive, but for yourself. Holding on to resentment only chains you to the past, while forgiveness frees you to embrace the future. If there's one lesson I'd pass on from all of this, it's that relationships, especially with family, are worth fighting for. They take work, patience, and a willingness to accept imperfection. But when both sides are willing to try, the results can be truly life-changing. In the end, the scars left behind by that difficult time serve as a reminder of what we've overcome. They're not ugly or painful anymore. They're proof of growth, resilience, and the unbreakable strength of family. As time went on, life continued to unfold in ways that reminded me how precious and unpredictable relationships can be. Alex and Julia had their first child, a beautiful baby girl they named Sophie. Her arrival brought a new kind of joy into all our lives. Holding my niece for the first time, I felt a deep sense of love and connection, a feeling that made all the struggles of the past seem distant and insignificant. Julia surprised me once again by asking me to be Sophie's godparent. You've always been such an important part of Alex's life, she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. And now, I want Sophie to have the same kind of support and love that you've given to him. I was taken aback, but touched. It was a gesture that signified how far we had come, not just in healing our relationships, but in creating a new chapter as a family. Over the years, Sophie became a bridge that brought us even closer. Watching her grow, celebrating her milestones together, and seeing the pride in Alex and Julia's eyes reminded me how much love can transform people. Julia, who once seemed so guarded and insecure, had blossomed into a confident and nurturing mother. She and I developed a surprising camaraderie, sharing parenting tips, though I had no kids of my own yet, laughing at Sophie's antics, and even teaming up to plan family events. One day, during Sophie's 5th birthday party, Julia pulled me aside. You know, she said, looking out at Alex chasing Sophie around the yard, I never thought we'd get here, but I'm so glad we did. I nodded, smiling. Me too. The journey we had taken together was far from perfect, but it was real, and that made all the difference. Now, years later, as I watch Alex and Julia navigate life with grace and humour, I feel nothing but gratitude. The wounds of the past have healed into something much stronger. Understanding, respect, and even love. Through it all, I've learned that people are more resilient than we often give them credit for. With time, effort, and a little bit of grace, even the most fractured relationships can be mended. And as I look around at the family we've built, messy, flawed, but full of heart, I can't help but feel proud of all of us. We didn't just survive the storm, we thrived because of it.